Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And I just want to say happy holidays and happy Luminalia. If you guys haven't already, make sure to check the Robert Space Industries website to claim all of your holiday gifts. Okay? Today I wanted to talk about my predictions for 2025. At the end of the year, many content creators go over what they think we might see the next year from the development, what the game might have added. And I think that there's a lot to look forward to. Uh, Obviously, 4.0 released a lot later than we expected, with a lot less features than we hoped. But that's kind of a good thing because it means that we have a lot of stuff to look forward to that we know are further along in development, right? So, first off, I want to talk a little bit about the letter from the chairman because Chris Roberts kind of laid out a different way that the development is going to roll out moving forward. So let's talk about that first, and then I'll get into all of my predictions. Okay. So he says here, to achieve our goals, we're making a fundamental change, decoupling feature development from content creation and general fixes. This means new features will no longer hold up content delivery or risk destabilizing the live environment. This approach will leverage the tech preview channel, which was reserved for major new pieces of technology like the replication layer and server meshing, but will now extend to gameplay features testing too. When a new feature is deemed complex or risky enough to require focus testing, we'll introduce a separate experimental PTU, ePTU for short, channel dedicated to that feature. Testing in this isolated channel will allow us to refine and stabilize the feature without implicating content and the broader development work. Only once the feature is fully greenlit, we will integrate it into the standard Evo PTU live pipeline. Okay, and here's kind of an infographic of what that might look like. So you have Evo Cardi first, as always, but then you have this ePTU track here, right? So you'll have the standard PTU and ePTU, and then live, and then an Evo Cardi for the live build, right? And then, so the features only migrate to live when they're ready. So you essentially have this ePTU that is available to wider backers to be able to test out this feature and technology. And then it will go into a kind of Evo Cardi patch. And then from that Evo Cardi patch to PTU and live. Okay, so in my opinion, this is a pretty good thing. Now, part of that might mean that the Evo Cardi can share more than they have in the past. I know that CIG kind of lifted some of the restrictions so that Evo Cardi can talk about what they're testing, and more recently, Evo Cardi were actually able to show what they were testing. So if a feature goes to ePTU first before Evo Cardi, then more than likely many of the testers that were testing out that feature in the ePTU will see it. But because it's not content, that means that it doesn't really need to be held up behind, an NDA or anything like that. So I think in 2025, they're definitely going to move to this system, and we're more than likely going to see those features in testing channels first. Okay. So now I kind of want to go over and look at all of the things that were removed from 4.0 that I think we'll be getting in 2025. So now let's go take a look at that. All right, so we're here back in the roadmap roundup that kind of went over the things that were being removed from 4.0. Okay, so we have life support, engineering, fire hazards, the fire extinguisher, solar bursts from pyro. Now, the solar bursts, they were in it during the pyro playground, so I think there might have been some technical hurdle that they went through with silver meshing that might have made it so they had to take it out, because when we did the Pyro Playground the first time, silver meshing was not enabled, right? But this time, Pyro has 4 servers, 5 servers, or 6 servers. It has a few different configurations. So I assume that the solar burst is something that they might have to slightly refactor to work with silver meshing. So uh, right now it might be a situation where a solar burst only works on one server. So if there's 4 to 6 servers in Pyro, then it might have gotten broken. That's my theory anyway, but I think that they'll work on that and figure that out for next year. Then of course we have charge and drain. I don't really know what blockers would exist for this system. Um, Honestly, it seems like just simple beam technology. So I think we'll get this relatively soon in the year. Then the transit system refactor. Again, I think the blockers for this are obviously silver meshing, because I think they want to create a system that is a little bit more future proof. So I think that with the issues that we're seeing with the mission system refactor, I think that this will probably take a little bit longer. I think we might see this further into the middle of the year, maybe summer. Then, of course, fire extinguishers. I think this is pretty easy. The fire hazard, again, we have some fire in the game right now. I think this will be pretty easy to implement. Engineering, we did see a lot of engineering testing. Again, it's not something that I think should be held up by server meshing or anything like that. So I think that we'll get this pretty soon in the earlier part of the year, as well as life support. Okay, again, these are all ship-based systems, so I think that CIG should reasonably be able to implement them. Now, there are some other features that I think is pretty reasonable for us to get. So I think first of all, it's going to be mobiGlas 2.0, the mobiGlas updates. That's where we can see, more friends list type stuff, more org type updates. CIG went over a lot of these updates during CitizenCon this year. I think that because all of that stuff is building blocks work, you just have to kind of plug it into the game's back end systems. That's probably the biggest blocker right now. But I think that CIG is moving towards a, a larger focus on quality of life. So I think that focusing on that quality of life change, basically having, the players be able to, say, hey, I need a gunner on my ship, and then post that in the mobiGlas, and somebody who's in the mobiGlas could just go in there and say, oh, this person's looking for a gun for their ship. So I think that obviously there are people that might abuse that system, but again, they have like a rating system in that mobiGlas app as well. I think that's going to be a big buff to the game, especially now since we have more players. I know a lot of people were kind of complaining or saying that, we have 500 players now, but it doesn't really feel that different. I think it feels different. I have been seeing more people running around in the game, but the game could have 20,000 players, right? If there aren't any systems that make players play together, you're never going to feel like it's bigger, right? Because the game is so big. So if CIG really wants us to feel the increase in player numbers, then they need to introduce these systems, these mobiGlas systems that encourage us to play together, that help us play together, right? The ability to, share our location in chat. So, we could go into global chat, then we can go into a private channel with our group, and then we can just tell our group, hey, I'm here at this coordinates, and then you can take those coordinates and put it in your map and then just go straight to that. That quality of life update with the mobiGlas is going to be huge, and I really, really hope that we get that in 2025, right? So mobiGlas changes, I think that's what we're going to get. Also, weather. So we can see this a little bit on some of the planets in Pyro with the new cloud tech. And this is the type of thing that CAG slowly rolls out throughout the year. We've seen it in the past with cloud tech updates. CAG kind of just add them to point patches and whatnot. So I think throughout 2025, we'll start to see, more planets get the new clouds, and then we might start to see, them add in the rain and all of that stuff. So I think CAG will slowly start to add that in that cloud tech, that weather tech, lightning, all of that stuff throughout 2025. I think there isn't really anything that should block that from being added to the game. I think just kind of server stability, because I don't know how much of a load it's going to be on the servers to add, cloud and weather to all the planets. Again, I'm not, that technical of a person, but I think that it's pretty reasonable to assume that they will slowly roll that out. And the next thing, Planet Tech. I think CIG will slowly roll out more Planet Tech stuff. They'll probably start with the force on Microtech and Hurston, upgrading the forest. We saw that the new Planet Tech at CitizenCon, how much more dense they can make the forests, and the new biomes. I think we might see some more, biome tech stuff on Hurston. Maybe they might add some type of swampy area to Hurston. It kind of has that Sierra, dusty atmosphere. So maybe some regions of the planet. Now, the way that they say they're changing the planet tech is with different height maps and heat maps and moisture levels and stuff like that. So they will go back and update existing planets in Stanton and Pyro to work with the new system. So, the system will dynamically say, okay, this area should have more trees, this area should have snow and that type of thing. So I think that they're slowly going to roll that tech out throughout 2025 as well. Now, we saw a lot of updates, a lot of fauna updates. They added the quasi-grazer and this little rat in Pyro. I think that we might, again, I'm not guaranteeing on this, but we might see the storm walls. Now, they've shown off the storm walls several times, in different videos. So we do know that they have the assets, all that stuff is working. I think, it just comes down to them turning it on at Crusader. So I think it's a possibility that we might see them. I think they'll also probably introduce more fauna. Now, they were saying that the sandworm is closer than a lot of people think. I think they're gonna try to get the sandworm gameplay in next year. And another animal that they kind of hinted at, another creature that they kind of hinted at. So I think we're definitely going to see some interesting fauna updates in 2025, and I think that's going to be really exciting, right? And then of course ship updates. I really don't think CIG is going to miss out on any of the ships that they teased. Now you guys could go back and look at my ship teaser video, that when they kind of always hint at certain ships, at the end of CitizenCon. I have no doubt that they're really gonna be able to deliver all of those ships. Now, this year they were pretty much able to deliver all the ships. The only ship that they didn't deliver was the Legionnaire, because they wanted to wait for hacking gameplay. But it doesn't seem like any of the ships that they teased at this year's CitizenCon have any major blockers, because they're not waiting on any particular tech to come online. Another thing that I think we'll probably get is the location repair. Now, I haven't really seen the location repair in 4.0 preview, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that, but I think that they might be waiting on engineering for that, because it's kind of one of those things where you need to have the systems up and working to be able to change fuses and whatnot. So I think that we'll probably see location repair come out next year pretty reasonably, pretty soon actually, right? So I think we're gonna get a lot in 2025. But last, I think I want to talk a little bit about crafting and base building. Now, I'm really on the fence about crafting and base building if we're going to see it on in 2025 or not, right? I think CIG are going to be very ambitious and try to shoot to get it out in 2025. But realistically, if you think about all of the stuff they have to do to make it happen, I think that it's going to be a lot of work for them because first, they're going to have to decide on all of the resources that they want in the game, right? Then they're going to have to come up with all of the blueprints for all of the items in the game, whether that's ships, guns, armor, components, even furniture for your homestead, your house. They're going to have to make a blueprint recipe for all of these things. Then on top of that, they're going to have to make a blueprint for each tier of that item. So ships go from tier 1 to tier 5, and there is a blueprint for each tier, right? So they're going to also have to make uh, economy changes based on these blueprint recipes, right? So you need all of the resources first, then you need all of the blueprints second, then you need all of the tiers third, then you need all of the quantities, the quality of these items, and then you can balance the economy and say that okay, this tiers with that, this quality of resources is going to be priced at this. So honestly, the economy changes that they're doing right now is totally relevant. This whole technology that they built out to calculate, how much time it takes to fly out somewhere and haul cargo and how much that mission should pay, that system is going to have to be completely refactored to take into account all of the new systems that they're going to bring online with blueprints, right? So blueprints adds a ton of work that CIG needs to do. Again, if crafting was just kind of pretty simple, you have no tiered items, then I would say, okay, yeah, it's more unlikely. But because they have to make a blueprint for each tier of item, because they have to decide on, what quality and quantity you need for that thing, and then you have to take into account the progression, right? Because more than likely you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z before you can, advance your skills in, refining or making these things. Because we also have crafting machines, right? And these crafting machines, they they tune the blueprints, right? They allow you to customize your skills in crafting. So the crafting machines are a big part of it aside from the blueprints, right? So you can, I guess, make better blueprints with these crafting machines. So um realistically, I don't think we're going to get crafting and base building in 2025. I think CIG is going to be very ambitious and try to shoot for it, but I think it's going to be a situation like this year with 4.0 that we might get um versions of crafting in the tech EPTU branches. That's what I think is going to happen. So I don't think we're going to get full blown crafting and base building next year, but I think CIG will definitely add parts of crafting and base building to these EPTU test branches so we can kind of play with the tech and they can balance it, because it's going to be a lot of economy balancing. And if you just throw that in the game, it'll break the live version. And they've already stated that they don't want to do that. They want to make sure that the live version is a kind of cohesive experience. And so with base building, I would say that base building completely depends on the crafting system. You can't build a base without being able to build a base. So I think what they probably will do sooner is add in the lockable grids, right? So this is kind of a technology that allows you to assign different permissions to different people to move different items. And I think that makes a lot of sense for us to be able to decorate our hangers, right? So I think that the lockable grid might be something that they add in first, right? So lastly, I want to talk about CitizenCon and kind of like the big features of 2025. I think CitizenCon 2025 might focus more on Nyx, right? So we saw Nyx in this year's CitizenCon. They went over the new Delamar, right? It is finally an asteroid. And they kind of went over some of the features that it's going to have with the exterior cargo grids. So I think we're going to see that in Pyro Stanton, and where you can pull the hull seat up to the side of the station, and you could use the tractor beam to attach the cargo boxes to this platform that's outside, right? So I think that as well as probably the new cargo decks, we're gonna get that in 2025, right? So right now cargo decks don't really do anything, but there'll be an elevator straight from these exterior cargo platforms to the cargo decks inside. So I think that's a big change that's going to be really exciting for cargo gameplay for the hull seat owners and stuff like that, because they're also talking about bringing in the ironclad. They're working on the ironclad, and I think the ironclad will work in a very similar way, where the top will open and you'll pull up to the exterior and put the cargo boxes on that grid, because the ironclad moves so much cargo. Putting that on an interior elevator is going to be crazy. So I think the ironclad is going to be another one of those ships that can utilize that, the hull A, that type of stuff. Hull C's, they've shown different ships actually use those exterior cargo grids. These larger ships that can move a lot more cargo will utilize these exterior cargo grids. And I think Nyx is going to be a big one too. We haven't really seen too much about their planet, so I think kind of this road to Nyx is going to be a big one. So the thing with Nyx is that it's going to have Vanduul raids. So it's going to be the first time we'll be seeing the Vanduul in the persistent universe. That's going to be really exciting. I know that players are not going to get the new Vanduul ships until Squadron 42 comes out in 2026, but we'll probably see the Vanduul blades. That's a updated ship that players already have access to. We probably won't see the other updated Vanduul ships. They'll probably just be troops of Vanduul blades flying around in Nyx for the first time, and we'll be able to fight them kind of similar to how we have bounty missions right now in space, where maybe they might be at an outpost in Nyx, and we have to do some FPS stuff with them as well. So I think we'll hear a lot more about CIG's plans for Nyx. The planets, the planet tech in Nyx is supposed to be a lot more volatile, so we'll see the advanced weather systems that they have planned for the planets in Nyx. Nyx only has 2 planets, but I think content-wise, they could do a lot more with less planets, right? Because they'll have less planets, but they'll be able to do more content-wise with them. So I think Nyx is gonna be a lot of fun. Of course, mining in the asteroid belt there where Delamar is. I think that's gonna be the headlining thing at CitizenCon in 2025. So that's basically all of my predictions for 2025. I know there might be some stuff that I missed out on, some things that you guys are interested in seeing. I want to hear from you in the comments down below. What do you guys think is going to be in 2025? What are we going to get in 2025? I want to hear your predictions. I like talking to you guys, so sound off down there. But that's going to be it for me in this video. You guys, thanks for hanging out with me again. Like I always say at the end of these videos, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Salut!